Hello, everyone, and welcome to episode 88 of the Runnin the Paint podcast. I'm Miles here with Nick, Jackson, and Joey. Guys, how are you doing today?
Feeling good, feeling great.
What's up, fellas? What's up, everybody? Happy Election Day, everybody. Nice to see you, fellas.
That is correct.
Get out, make sure you go out and vote. Get out there and vote.
Jackson, how are you?
Good. The Rockets won, so it's good night.
Definitely a good night. This is going to be a bit of a special podcast. We're going to kind of combine this with the recap here so we can get a chance to talk about all these teams, because with the election today, last night, every single team played a game. There were 15 games going on, some of them still going on right now. But a lot of them did already finish, and we got some fun results in here to talk about here today. So we're going to go through each game, talk about each of these teams, kind of talk about the game and talk about their season so far, because it has been a while since all of us have been on. So definitely excited to get back going here. So let's get started with the very first game of the night, and it was definitely one that was kind of a rematch of a crazy game from Saturday between the Milwaukee Bucks and the Cleveland Cavaliers. Of course, this one a little disdain with Giannis Antetokounmpo not playing in this one due to an adductor injury. But this was still a crazy game after an offensive surge by the Cavaliers in the first half. The Bucks finally picked up their defense a little bit in the second half. It was definitely a tighter game down the stretch. They made it interesting, made it a little scary for us Cavs fans here looking to keep the undefeated streak going. But Darius Garland went crazy, especially in the fourth quarter, going shot for shot with Dame. And the Cavs held on this one, 116-114. They're still undefeated, 8-0, ties for a franchise record for the best start to a season at 8-0. But yeah, man, this game was unbelievable. Joey, why don't you start us off with this one? Where would you like to begin with the Bucks and the Cavaliers?
I'll go out and say it. Cavs are going 82-0. I'm loving it. This is so much fun to watch as just a huge Cavs fan. But the one thing I especially want to talk about is obviously Darius Garland had a fantastic night and is off to a blazing start. But we all had the expectations of Evan Mobley and how we needed to take the extra step. And now here we are, 8 games in, no losses. And Evan Mobley is getting rebounds, making blocks, taking it the fast break himself, dunking on people, looking very Giannis-esque against the Bucks today with Giannis sitting out. He's been looking fantastic, and I've been loving it.
He's certifiable for sure. I mean, he's having a great start to the year. We talked about it a little bit this morning when we got together, but couldn't get the recording to work. Anytime the Bucks are playing somebody, it seems so far this year, the opposing guards are in for a big night, and that theme stayed consistent tonight. DG with 36, he went off. The Bucks have a severe defensive problem on the perimeter. Dame can't guard anybody. They brought in Gary Trent Jr. and Delon Wright to help them out. They're not getting the job done. And we talked about it a little bit earlier. Like, when you don't have guys who can get through a screen, it forces Giannis and Brook to come up higher in the pick and roll, and then you leave the rim open and not protected. And like, they're missing, we talked about it a lot, Drew Holiday, who could get through those screens and help out Brook and Giannis stay a little bit lower in their drop coverage on the pick and roll so that they can have that rim protection. Then Drew Holiday would be able to get back in front, but there's just no one there to keep pressure off of the bigs.
Yeah, absolutely. When talking about this Milwaukee Bucks team, and we have talked about them a lot because this is a team that, regardless of how we expected them to play coming in, I had high expectations for them. What was the lowest we had? I think, Joey, you had them as the 7th seed or something around that range, top of the plan. We expected this team to be pretty good and in the mix, at least in the Eastern Conference. And so far, they have been way worse than I think any of us could have predicted coming in. Of course, now 1-6 on the season. Now there's 6 straight loss. And, for me coming in, I had really high expectations for the Bucks because I thought that Damian Lillard and Giannis Antetokounmpo were going to play like the best duo in the league because I think they just complement each other so well. And in year 2 of them being together, I thought that they would play a lot better. And going into tonight, obviously numbers skewed a little bit because Giannis didn't play. They come in Dame averaging 26 points per game, and Giannis was averaging 31, both playing fantastic, averaging 57 points together, which is the most by any two players in the league, the most by any duo in the league. So just going off that, you could say they have the best scoring duo in the league, and they're still playing very badly because of the defensive side of the ball for the reasons like you're saying, Nick. Brook Lopez and Giannis are playing so hard on that end because they're having to make up for so many mistakes by their guards. And that's just, because their guards, they've never been known as defensive-minded players. Really, I mean, Gary Trent Jr., a little bit kind of earlier in his career, he's being asked to do this kind of role. But, Damian Lillard, Taurean Prince, Pat Connaughton, these are guys, like, you're not asking them to really defend on any other team. But this team, it's kind of a necessity for them to try hard defensively. And that's where you see the problems in transition, in the half court, getting around DHOs and pick and rolls. It's just been a big problem. Now, credit to the Bucks in the second half of this game, because the first half, it was a fast break cakewalk for the Cleveland Cavaliers.
71 points in the first half for the Cavs.
73, I think, actually. It was 73-60 or something like that. But in the second half, to give the Bucks credit, they played very well defensively, and the Cavs had a very difficult time scoring there in the third quarter. And midway through the fourth, the Bucks had an 8-point lead with a few minutes to go in this game. I was definitely getting worried thinking that the winning streak would come to an end, but then obviously the Cavs turn it on there. But no, the defense is definitely something that has been a problem for the Bucks, and it's hard to really see how it could get a lot better.
That's what we were saying. There's really no clear solution to them fixing this issue.
There's one big solution: getting Giannis back. I know it's not going to help with sometimes with the perimeters, but maybe him just being out there, being a leader, influences some confidence.
Well, they're 1-5 with him. They're 0-1 without him.
Yeah, this game does not change.
Oh, I thought he's been injured for a couple games now.
No, this is the first game he's missed this
season. Oh, never mind then. My bad.
No, they've been like this the whole season and last year.
One highlight tonight for them was AJ Green, who, like Miles said, the Sam Merrill full impersonator tonight, 7-9 from downtown. And then the other big thing that came away from this was Jared Allen is now the new leading rebounder in the NBA. Right? Isn't that what you guys said?
Yes, I believe so. After tonight, he will lead the league in rebounding. Yeah, I mean, look, the Cavs, the way that they've played so far, 8-0. I was really high on the Cavs coming into the season because of Kenny Atkinson, because I thought Mobley was going to play well, because Garland would have a bounce back. Never would I have thought that it would have turned out this well. An 8-0 start, top 5 in the league in both offense and defense, and everybody playing well. I don't think you could go down the line on this Cavs roster, at least guys in the rotation that obviously play, that, aren't playing well. Everyone's really playing to their strengths, which
George Niang, Joey?
Still, he's playing okay. I mean,
he's not doing too bad. I ain't gonna lie. I know for a fantasy standpoint, Goggin was really happy today because DG and Dame both went absolutely ballistic for his fantasy team.
Yeah. Long live the serpent.
He went ballistic.
Yeah, and even Dame did everything he could in both this game and the last game on Saturday, which we should probably talk about that game on Saturday as well, because that was just a classic. Both teams going back and forth there down the stretch, but Donovan Mitchell just hits the incredible game-winning shot there. That's why for the Bucks, these last two games, this is a step in the right direction, even though they've lost these games. They played a good game on Saturday. Donovan just made a better play at the end. This game, for not having Giannis being in the game down the stretch, having the lead, was just incredible. Damian Lillard just made a few mistakes down the stretch. He had the backcourt violation with a minute to go where he steps on the line. Credit to the Cavs for recognizing, man, Dame is destroying right now. No one else is really having it going besides AJ Green from three-point land. Mm-hmm. Let's just start blitzing him when he gets across half court, forcing a backcourt violation, and then some tough step-back shots by Damian Lillard, which we've seen him make before. He was making them in this game, but you got to live with these difficult Dame step-back shots, in this situation.
I'll be honest, the Cavs could have lost these last two games, even though I was looking at the stats, and one glaring thing for me is some of these Bucks guys need to step up. Like, they did get Gary Trent, and I know they wanted him for a little bit of defense, but The man is 2 for 17 combined the last 2 games. That's pretty bad. If he just made 2 more shots, it would have been better.
Yeah. Prince has been good offensively, defensively, not the best. Because, I mean, Sam Merrill in the Saturday game, the Bucks had a 16-point lead. Then Sam Merrill gets 3 open threes in a minute with Prince guarding him, and the Cavs get right back in the game. I think Andre Jackson Jr., he's a guy that's got potential for them. I was saying this a little bit before we got on here about how Milwaukee, in this prolonged run that they've had, and potentially closing here this season with this start that they've had, is how they have not really done a good job with their player development so far. We look at a guy like Marjon Beauchamp, who's an athletic guy who could score a little bit when coming into the league. They've already declined his team option. He's not a part of their future plans. Andre Jackson could, because he's got a nice combination of athleticism, size. And then AJ Green, if he can shoot threes, not at this rate, but if he can just knock down threes, he wasn't really doing that before. Then it'll definitely help them going forward. But, Milwaukee, I think they're definitely in the right direction here. Even though these losses, they still count for losses, they're definitely in the right direction.
Yeah, they got a couple cake teams coming up. They play the Jazz next on Thursday, and then they do go Knicks, Celtics, but then they got Raptors, Pistons, Hornets. So they'll pick it up here.
That's the thing. They could start 2-8 through their first 2 games, but then they start to get some home games. That's the thing. Through this stretch, they've only played 2 games at home. They lost both of them to Chicago and that last second loss to Cleveland. But things will definitely get easier for them when the schedule gets better here. Before we move on to the next game, couple numbers I want to point here that really, I think, summarize this start for the Cavaliers. We've talked about Mobley playing fantastic, and everyone has just been playing great. Garland's now up above 20 points per game with this crazy game last night. But the 2 numbers I kind of want to focus on here are 30, because no Cavalier is averaging over 30 minutes per game, which I think is something that is absurd when you talk about a top team that has all this star power and a team that really had to rely on their starting unit and starting guys over the last few years. Of course, last night now, Jared Allen is right dead on at 30, but he's leading their team in minutes per game at 30.0. Everyone else is playing in the 20s minutes or 15 in the rotation. I think that is something that is huge, that they're not having to put this much of a workload on their star players.
It's going to pay off in the long run. A little bit of load management early in the season. We all know what's going on with Embiid and stuff, but this is Kenny Atkinson's way, which I like much better than just sitting out.
Yeah, and it also helps that the Cavs had been blowing out some of their opponents as well, get some extra rest. And then the other number, stay even there, rounding it out, with 40, because there are, I believe, 7 players in the Cavaliers rotation that are shooting 40% from 3.
Wow.
Which is showing how I don't know how on fire they are. But I feel like a lot of these shots, for the most part, these are makeable shots here that the Cavs are getting. They've been generating a lot of open looks, especially from the corners. There have been a lot more open corner threes this year than we've seen in the past few years. And, analytically, besides a layup, a corner 3 is the best shot you can get because it's obviously shorter than the, top of the key. So that's definitely, a great start to the season for the Cavaliers, and important for them to rack up these victories, because we'll get into all these teams later on here. But with teams that were kind of projected to be around them to start the year, like the Magic, of course, unfortunate news with Paolo Banchero out, but Indiana off to a slow start, and then, of course, the Bucks and the Sixers off to slow starts. The Cavs are building themselves a nice lead here that could be important at the end of the year. Like, you look at 8 victories, they already have a 6th or 7th of their potential wins by the end of the year. It's huge to already have that, in their back pocket this early.
And they're doing it all without Max Strus.
Yeah. They've been dealing with some injuries of their own as well, with Max Strus not playing a game yet, Karis LeVert out for this game, and Dean Wade as well, who had been starting and playing well.
Our bench has been absolutely nuts as well, especially with Strus out. Dean Wade's been starting, LeVert out this game. Like, our bench has been out. I think I saw a 3rd going into this game, or during this game, or after this game. 3rd in points for bench in the whole league, or something like that.
Yeah, that
3rd
would
in assists.
Probably be accurate.
3rd in 3 points. the third and steals.
Oh, you know what? I did see that on the broadcast. Yeah, because Karras has been making a whole bunch of shots this season. We'll see. He's a bit of a, hot and cold type player, but he's having the ball less, not having to dribble as much. So we can see if that's sustainable. And shout out to Ty Jerome, man, for coming in.
Yep.
He's been great as a backup point guard. He's definitely been a godsend at that end of the floor. So
nice.
Shout out to the Cavaliers for their 8-0 start. Definitely been impressive so far. And Milwaukee definitely getting better soon. Don't expect it to be this bad for much longer here. Getting to some more games from last night. The Golden State Warriors got Steph Curry back after missing the last week with an ankle injury, and they defeated the Washington Wizards in DC. And the Warriors now 6-1 through their first 7 games. They've been playing very, very well. But fun game between Jordan Poole and Draymond Green. Of course, everyone knows the history there. But Jackson, you were talking about beforehand, those two kind of going back and forth there, all in fun during the game.
Yeah, Poole played great, and Bob Carrington had his kind of welcome to the league game. I think this is arguably his best game as a NBA player. He's had a couple other really good games. He's probably front runner for Rookie of the Year.
Who had him as Rookie of the Year? Who had him as Rookie of the Year, though?
Ooh.
Probably, yeah, me.
Cool. Yeah, I think if you're the Wizards, this doesn't really affect you. If you're the Warriors, you just keep building up their confidence. Buddy Buckets is playing great. You got Steph back now, and I was definitely wrong about this team at the beginning of the year. I had them as a 12th seed, and I think they're going to be a playoff. I think they keep at the rate they're going, they're going to be a playoff team, and I think they're definitely a fun team to watch, fun team to look out for sure.
Yeah, and I've been wrong about them as well. I predicted kind of the same thing, and even especially with Steph Curry being injured, we thought that's where the Warriors might slip. That has not been the case whatsoever with the guys that have stepped up, like Buddy Buckets, who's been leading their team in scoring, coming off the bench, and just other guys contributing all throughout the lineup. With the Warriors system and them having a bunch of solid role players, they're going to play solid. They're definitely going to play solid. So the Warriors, they've just been really good. Good on both ends of the floor as well. Offensively, they've been amazing, but defensively, they've been the second best defense in the league. I think that's more where I've kind of been surprised with how they've played, is on that end of the floor.
Yeah, who do you think's the leader behind that sort of shift?
Draymond Green, man.
Is Draymond back, y'all?
He is. He is, man. Back? He's been balling, man. They had a stretch where they played the Pelicans back-to-back games last week and beat them, obviously. Zion played decently the first game, but the second game of the back-to-back, Zion was 5 for 20 from the field, guarded by Draymond for most of it. And Draymond, I believe, had 4 or 5 blocks in that game. So Draymond has been playing fantastic, honestly, on both ends of the floor. Really, he's been knocking down his threes again like he did last year. So Warriors, again, shout out to the Warriors for just this great start. I certainly wasn't expecting it, but if they can keep playing like this, they're going to be in the mix there in the Western Conference, even with, not to mention Steph Curry's numbers not even being that crazy this year. I think that's something to note as well.
Yeah, well, I made the case a couple weeks ago. He's got a lot of support now. I think the Warriors got better this offseason, losing Klay Thompson, bringing in Kyle Anderson and Buddy Buckets. Yeah, I think D'Anthony Melton, he's hurt right now too, I'm pretty sure.
Yeah, he has been hurt as well.
So I think they got a lot of depth. I think they got better from last year, and there's more offensive firepower. And if Draymond's going to be, leading sort of a defensive-minded shift there, and maybe like the twilight years of his time with Steph and the Warriors, like they depended so much on offense for their championship runs and stuff. Maybe they can compete on the other end now, and kind of rely on some younger talent like Pods and Buddy Hield and Melton and them.
Yeah, absolutely possible there. So great stuff there from the Golden State Warriors. Before we get to the next game, I don't know how I just skipped past this, but we got to do PERTL. I don't know how I just forgot that. I apologize. We got to go to PERTL here. And we have been on a bit of a cold streak here really over the last few weeks. So I want to get a 2 or a 3. I'd be very happy with a 2 or a 3. We'll see if we can do this. Who are we feeling has the best luck today? Who wants the first guess today?
I'll go.
All right, Nick, Nick, you go ahead. I'm feeling good about Nick here today. Again, play along with us in the comments down below. Nick, pick a player. Who do you want to pick?
Matisse Thybulle.
All right, Matisse Thybulle. All right, let's go to Matisse Thybulle here. And we get nothing. All right, that's fine.
Great.
Oh,
Great.
no.
That's fine. I mean, we know he's an Eastern Conference player who's most likely a big man who's younger and wears a jersey number higher than 4. So let's see. A young big guy. We could go
Taller
just
than
go like
6'6".
taller. Yeah, we could go like Alex Sarr and just
That's what I
go
was
the
thinking.
other wavelength.
Exactly what I was thinking.
All right, let's go Alex Sarr then. And there we go. All right, so he's super young. He's either 20 or 21, and he's going to be 6'8", 6'8" or 6'9", it looks like, in the Southeast as a forward who wears a jersey number between 7 and 17.
So Kongwu.
Onyeka Okongwu. He's not that young still.
No, he's like 23 now.
Yeah.
Mark Williams 5. Kalal Ware?
Kalel Ware. Oh, shoot. What jersey number?
I think he's
Crud.
like
Is he between them? I don't know.
Does he wear 10?
No, I think number 10 is retired by Miami.
It is by Tim Hardaway.
Tim Hardaway, yeah. Let's see. Okay. I don't think it's Orlando Magic. It's not a Wizard.
Oof.
Is it Musa Diabate?
Oh, it's a forward. Oh, it's a forward.
Is it Musa Diabate?
Who is
no.
he?
no idea.
On the Hornets. He might be too tall.
What about
Reese. Wait, can it be Reese? Or is he younger?
Risache.
He's 20, right?
Risache.
And he wears what? What number does he wear?
I think he wears
7.
10. He wears 10.
Yeah.
We want to try Risache?
Do we want to try the other top pick? Okay.
Number one pick. All right, let's give it a try here. Oh man, he's 19 too. Okay,
So
6'8". All right,
15. Number 15.
dude, I feel like it might be my guy Musa Diabate.
I
Go
guess
for it.
Diabate.
Dude, if this is actually it, that's gonna be insane. Oh, he was almost there.
13.
younger than 22?
12.
Wait, Kalal Ware might wear 15. Am I allowed to look up his number?
You know, he might be 15.
I think
put
he's
Ware.
15.
But it's lower than 14.
Yeah, it's gotta be 13 or 12.
Oh yeah.
Not a
he wears
Magic. 13, 12. It still might be Kalel Ware.
No, he wears number 7.
Oh no, he does.
Ah.
So it's either Magic or Heat. 13 on them. Oh my gosh, is it Jet Howard?
Probably.
It's Jet Howard, I think. Dude, oh my
is.
gosh, Jet Howard.
Number
Shoot,
13.
dude. Man. All of our guesses, though, were right around the same area. Like, we could, man. I think all of our guesses were pretty good guesses.
I was going to say, as soon as we got that second guess, we kind of were in that same range for the next 3.
Dang.
Yeah.
All right. It is
Damn.
what it is. All right, let's go to the next game here. A bit of a shocker here. The Detroit Pistons taking down the Lakers 115 to 103, thanks to a triple-double by Cade Cunningham. I'm not sure if that's – is that his first triple-double? Or has he had some the last couple of years?
I'll look it up.
Go ahead and check that out. But
He had like 2 last year.
yeah, he might have had a few last year. But the Pistons taking down the Lakers 115 to 103. Cunningham had the triple-double, but Jaden Ivey led the way in scoring with 26 points, and that was able to combat another crazy Anthony Davis game with 37 points, 9 boards, 4 assists. Pistons coming away with the victory. Nick, what were some of your thoughts from this outcome?
I was pretty surprised to see that Detroit was able to knock off LA, considering that Anthony Davis has been one of the top, players in the league so far. And, when D'Lo and AR are looking good, things are really good in LA. But today they couldn't find the bottom of the net, and give credit to Detroit for beating them today. I mean, defensive game, and if you're going to play that way, then you have to deal with Detroit being in the game at the end of the game, I guess.
Yeah, because the Pistons were in control for the most part in this one. The Lakers actually made a run here. It was kind of close down the stretch. Cade and Ivy just both made some nice big time plays there, down the stretch in that game to come away with the victory there. But yeah, I mean, it's just been nice. It's been nice to see the Pistons being competitive now, 3-5 on the season. After starting 0-4, or I believe they didn't win a game for a little bit there, but they were competitive in the games. They've been winning a few of their last games there, so it's been nice to see them being competitive. Tim Hardaway's been decent over the last few games. He had 19 points, hit 4 threes in this one. Tobias Harris hasn't been knocking down his threes a whole lot, but he's been providing his nice mid-range scoring in some other areas. And a shout out for the rebounding of a couple big guys on the Pistons. Jalen Duren, we know what he can do rebounding. But Isaiah Stewart off the bench, his role has had to change a little bit. Throughout his career, used to be a starter, then a starting center, became a starting power forward, started shooting threes. This year, JB Bickerstaff has had him come off the bench, be the backup 5, and strictly be a bruiser and a rebounding type guy. And he's been doing that very, very well. So shout out to Isaiah Stewart for young guy in his career who, for a pretty passionate player. We've seen him get into scuffles against the Lakers before. But coming in and be willing to change his role for whatever the team needs. It's something that's definitely refreshing to see from a young player. So shout out to Beef Stew and the Pistons for getting the victory there against the Lakers, who are now 4-3 on the season. So Lakers losing 3 of their last 4 games on this road trip, with losses to now Detroit. They lost to Phoenix and then Cleveland, and then a win against Toronto, which was hard fought as well. So that's definitely something to watch out for with the Lakers having to, struggling on the road here to start the season.
They need some help from some of the other guys. I was going to say, at least for this game against the Pistons, yeah, LeBron and AD obviously are going to do their stuff, but D'Lo and Austin Reeves supposed to be your next 2 guys, right? And they're combined for shooting 35% while chucking up 30 shots a game in this game. Like,
that's what I was saying.
Yikes. They just need at least same thing for the Bucks tonight. Like it's all those role guys. If they have an off night, I know it's the big guys that, like, if it's a blowout, you point to them, but like on these close games, it's when you really need a good bench and role guys, because those are the times they clutch up.
Especially with LeBron not having a crazy start to the season as well. Like,
he's 40.
Yeah, I mean, you can't ask him to do everything. Yeah, for sure. I completely agree. I'm saying, like, LeBron at this point of the season, being this old, and he said it before even last year, he has to pick and choose his spots on when to be aggressive, when to, go into full LeBron. Well, we saw he can still do it in spurts. That Sacramento fourth quarter he had on the third game of the season. We got to see it there, but I think so far he's been looking to pass a bit more, take the shots when they're there to try to get these other guys going. And so far, it's been working. Reeves has had a very nice start to the year. Rui and D'Lo have been streaky so far. Rui from 2-point range has not been that great. D'Lo from 3-point land hasn't been that, great. Dalton Connect off the bench has been a nice addition with the shooting. But, you're right. They definitely need that third guy to kind of be consistent there. Even though, LeBron James is shooting 44% from 3. Isn't that's unbelievable? Like, dude, that's crazy.
And you always see it with the older guys. They start to develop a shot once they hit 40. Remember VC? He was a sharpshooter at the end of his career.
Jason Kidd was
Jason
a better
Kidd,
near the end of his career. But Lakers 4-3 now in the season. Pistons good win there. Next game, the Celtics continue to just breeze through their competition, blowing out the Hawks by 30 in Atlanta, 123-93. Game where Tatum got off to a great start, and the Celtics were able to kind of breeze their way through there. Should be noted, Trae Young did have to leave this game, I believe, with an injury. So he finished with only 2 points in this game. But it was just a really defensive-minded game. And, the Celtics, that's just another day at work for Boston, coming away with another big victory.
No surprise there. They're still the best team in the East, even though we love, as much as we love the Cavs and their 8-0 start, the Celtics, they're the best until they prove that they're not. And they're still proving how just dominant they are, the game of basketball.
Anybody want to take a guess at how many 3-pointers the Celtics shot tonight?
Oh, in this game? Let's go 56.
Well, it was a lot.
56.
63.
It was 55. Miles, good job.
Ooh.
Oh, dang. Oh, wow. I thought, okay. Yeah, man. I mean, they're just doing what they always do. So shout out to the Celtics, man, for continuing. Jason Tatum, 16 points, hit 4 threes in the first quarter of this one.
Didn't even play the fourth.
What's up? Oh, yeah, didn't play the fourth, I'm sure. Yeah, didn't play the fourth in this game because of the blowout. Jason Tatum, a guy who has come in and just been playing very, very well so far this season. His numbers have been very, very good. Do you guys think there is a chance that at the end of the season, if the Celtics keep breezing their way through, Tatum keeps, having some of these big quarters, that he could be at the top of the MVP conversations at the end of the year?
Yes. He should be at the top of it right now.
Yeah, I can't really argue with that.
Averaging 30-plus points on a dominant team. Most games not even playing the fourth quarter.
Yeah, it's hard to argue with that. Definitely hard to argue with that for sure. So Celtics just continuing to breeze their way through their competition.
Jaylen Brown. Jaylen Brown was out in this one. They had Nemish Keita in his spot.
And Keita's been pretty good. Keita's been pretty good in spurts at moments. In that Pacers game where they tried to come back there, he played very well back on Wednesday in their only loss. Next game here, we have the GFF, the Brooklyn Nets, going to 500 as they defeat the Memphis Grizzlies in a tight one, 106-104. This was a back and forth one, some crazy highlight plays. Ja Morant had 2 360 layups in this game. Ridiculous. Zach Edey finally having a big scoring game, 25-12, 11 of 12 from the field, but it's the Nets coming away with the win.
I like saying that Cam Thomas getting 6 assists. Wow, never what I thought. I know he's the guard, but that's a lot especially for that dude.
Quick update on the Brooklyn Clippers Spurs Clippers game that started 40-16 or something like that in the first quarter. It is not. It's now within 8 in the second quarter. So
I told you they were going to make a run, man.
No lead is safe. No lead is ever safe in the NBA.
No, they'll probably come back and win the darn game. I mean, but no.
But yeah, Zach Edey, 11-12 tonight in the paint. That's my takeaway from this one.
That's my rookie of the year.
Only got to the line 4 times. That's interesting. I mean, if you're shooting 11-12, you got to start fouling the dude at some point. He only made 2 out of 4 of them. I would have started trying to foul him at the hoop a little bit more.
Are we worried about the Grizzlies at all, y'all?
Worried about the Grizzlies? No, because again, they're still in these games.
Desmond Bane,
injuries.
Marcus Smart,
true.
Luke Kennard.
That's
they're starting Jalen Wells at the 2 guard, and he's the 35th overall pick or something like that, and playing well in these games. I mean, they've been doing well, just getting contributions from unexpected guys like Jay Huff, Scottie Pippen Jr. is like top 10 in the league in assists coming off the bench. Like they're holding their own right now until their guys get back. Now, whether or not they can stay healthy, that's the question with this team, as it always is.
Even in a loss tonight, good sign with Zach Edey, breaking out, and then Jaren Jackson hit 3 threes tonight, 3 of 5 from downtown.
Yeah, he was back. He'd been out as well.
It's good to get all these young guys. They got a good young squad. They need to keep building that confidence.
Yeah, I'm not too worried about them just yet.
I'm with you. I think injuries, and it's early in the season. They'll be fine.
And once again, the Brooklyn Nets getting another victory, stealing another victory against a quality team looking to do big things. The Nets just continuing to do their thing here.
What did you say before? You wouldn't be surprised if they did that because trade bait.
Yeah, exactly.
Trade bait coming up.
Exactly what they're doing.
Where's Cam Johnson going to land?
Cam Johnson, man, yeah, he's been balling. He got off to a great start in this one. Dorian Finney-Smith has been good this year.
Schroeder.
Oh yeah, Schroeder. Obviously, his numbers have been incredible so far this season. He's been great. So shout out to the GFF, man. They've been playing some decent basketball so far.
Is there even any way the Cavs could learn Cam Johnson? He'd be a really good fit.
I've been hearing that, but I wouldn't honestly right now. I wouldn't want to shake anything up at this point.
We'd have to give up LeVert, and he'd have to go back to Brooklyn probably.
Yeah, right now I don't want to mess anything up at this point. Let's see.
I wanted that to happen in the summer, though.
Yeah, definitely not now. But next game here, the best game so far from the day, the Sacramento Kings and the Miami Heat. And oh my goodness, what a finish we got in this one. Jimmy Butler had, I believe, 15 points in the fourth quarter this one. He tried to take over. DeMar and Fox played great the whole game. But at the end, final possession, ball in the hands of De'Aaron Fox, spins for a fadeaway at the foul line, misses it. Sabonis gets a crazy rebound and just plops it in there and wins the game for the Sacramento Kings, 111-110 to get themselves over 500 for the season. Star power, really all the main guys in this one played well, except unfortunately Bam Adebayo has been off to a slow start this season. But even then, he had a pretty good all-around game in this one. 16 points, 9 boards, 5 assists, 3 steals, and 4 blocks. Stuffed the stat sheet in a lot of different ways. But in the end, it's the Kings winning it at the buzzer, essentially, off a Sabonis putback. Joey, I mean, you're a Kings fan here. You're going to start with this game.
That's such a huge win. We were all in here in the pre-pod lobby watching it, and we all went crazy. De'Aaron Fox, even because we all thought about it. We all asked who's going to have the ball in there. De'Aaron Fox, clutch player of the year before. DeMar DeRozan, always in the running to be clutch player of the year. Sabonis, one of the best big men in the game. Like, who's going to have the ball at the end? De'Aaron Fox had it. Created great separation on that step back. He just put a little too much. And then a crazy rebound over Bam, and then just plopped it with 0.7 left, and they could have done nothing. That was a great road win for the Sacramento Kings. That's a win that you're only going to play that team one time on the road, and you won that. That's huge for later in the season, because when they come back to your home, they'll be like, all right, we're fine. We're fine. We might not have played our best, but now we're home.
Yeah, and on the possession before that, Sabonis putback, we just saw Malik Monk absolutely destroy the rim.
Oh, dude, yeah, man. Oh, my goodness. Yeah, that was crazy. But yeah, Sacramento Kings, to start the season, I think a common note for them is that they have been in a lot of close games, but on the wrong side of that. For 3 of them, you think of their 3 losses this season. Now, of course, 4-3. Their 3 losses. The opening night game to Minnesota, where Anthony Edwards made the free throws at the end of the game. Murray misses the 3. They lose to the Lakers when LeBron goes off in the fourth quarter, and they lose to Toronto in overtime because Fox went 0 for 11 from 3 in that game and airballed a 3 at the buzzer. So in any other scenario, they could be 6-1, 7-0. It's crazy if the ball bounced their way, but they have to settle for a 4-3 start. But playing some good basketball so far on the season.
It's a good team, man. I'm telling you, if they're not gonna, I wouldn't be surprised if they fall out of the play-in and into like a 6th spot, because eventually the more the games go on in the year, the close games that they're going to have, especially with these type of players on their team, they're going to be clutch eventually. You think De'Aaron Fox is going to be that not clutch the whole season? It's like 7 games in for them. It's fine. De'Aaron Fox is one of the most clutch players in the league.
Yeah, absolutely. Like, you think?
I think just the 4-3 record is like, man, that's not very telling. I think they're much better than their record shows.
This can say it right here. They're 4-3. They are 6th in the league in net rating. They have the 6th highest net rating in the league at 4-3. Kind of a similar thing. The Rockets are right near them. We'll get to their victory in a little bit. The New York Knicks are 500, 3-3. They got the 5th highest net rating in the league. It's all so tight in there right now because there have been so many close games.
It's been a fun start to the NBA season. Let's just say that.
Oh, yeah. It's been a lot of fun, and the Kings have certainly been a part of that in a lot of close games. Moving on, next game. Finally, every team in the league now has a victory as the Utah Jazz got their first victory in Chicago against the Bulls. No Zach LaVine in this one, but it's still a lot of Bulls players went off. You see the score there, high-scoring game. Keontae George went off in this one. Same thing with John Collins off the bench to get the victory for Utah there. So just shout out to the Jazz for getting their first victory of the season there. It had been a struggle so far. Lauri Markkanen has missed a lot of the season. So getting the victory there, always good to see.
Congratulations, Utah.
Pretty embarrassing for the Bulls to give up 135 points to an 0-6 basketball team.
Without their best player.
without their best player. Yeah,
without overtime.
Yeah, and in regulation as well. Next game here, let's go to the Knicks-Rockets game. With the Rockets getting the 109-97 victory, Şengün went crazy throughout the whole game. Fred VanVleet had a great first quarter, and they were able to withstand any run made by the Knicks. And Jalen Green, in the end, didn't shoot the best throughout the game, didn't have a great first three quarters, but in the fourth quarter, when they needed him, he showed up. Jackson, where would you like to start off with this game?
I mean, yeah, you mentioned Şengün. He obviously showed that he's still the best player on this team, but I think everyone else on the team is kind of starting to gel too. I think that's a pretty big thing. I mean, we've seen Tari Easton start off really hot this year. He's been absolutely fantastic, scoring, playing great defense, and that's the thing with this team. They're gonna come out and play really, really good defense, holding the Knicks to 97. And the Knicks are a pretty well-rounded offensive team who have shown that they can score a lot.
Top three offense in the league.
Yeah, so holding a top three offense to 97 when it speaks levels.
When Chicago's giving up 135 to the Jazz.
But yeah, I think it speaks levels. I think Ime Udoka is doing a great job with this team. I've seen rumblings that they should trade some people, like a Dylan Brooks, like other people. I think they should just keep doing what they're doing. I think Dylan's going to help people like Amen Thompson, even Cam Whitmore on the defensive end. And I don't think they need to move him or anything. But I like where we're at right now. I think huge win.
I completely agree. This was a huge win against a really good Knicks team. Just based on this, if you just look at the box stats, Karl Anthony Towns had 17 points only. And what was the whole thing last year? We always made fun, as much as we loved LP. LP's kind of a cone on the defensive end sometimes.
He's been great this year on the
defensive
end.
He has him. He's playing great. Getting Steven Adams as a backup for him to come off, incredible. You hold if you hold Cat, a guy who averages 25 points a game, to 17.
Yeah, average that 1 year. Yeah,
you're gonna win.
Yeah, the 1 year. Yeah.
1 year. Either way, sorry. 20 to 25 point score.
Plus, yeah.
And you hold him to 17 points. And you really only let Jalen Brunson beat you and come out to win. That's a good game plan. That's a good game plan.
It's a tough game for the Knicks for me. I mean, their starters they all played almost 40 minutes except for Cat, and they just don't have a whole lot of help. I mean, Deuce McBride was 0 for 9 in this game.
Oh my goodness. Yeah, the bench went 1 for 10 from the field. The only bucket was Tyler Kolek, the rookie. And that shows they're having to play him already this season. I think he'll be good for Tibbs. I think Tibbs is going to like him and play him going forward. But at this point, for that to be your bench with Deuce McBride, Jericho Sims, and Tyler Kolek, you just said it, Nick. Tibbs basically ran a 7-man rotation in the 7th game of the season, or the 6th game of the season for them. And Cat, in this game, he had 17 points. He did grab 19 rebounds, 9 offensive rebounds. So he was a beast on the offensive boards, but a minus 26. Not good. Not good because, again, with how the Knicks are looking right now. So used to saying Karl Anthony Towns with the Timberwolves. With how the Knicks are looking right now, without, of course, Mitchell Robinson, without Precious Achiuwa, if Cat is not playing well, they don't have a great backup option. Right now it's Jericho Sims. We've seen them have to play the youngster Ariel Hawkporty, who was just converted to a standard contract. But if Cat's not playing well, you're having to go to end of the bench guys to play big minutes, and that's where it's a struggle. Cat has to play well for them to play well.
Yeah,
they need him to lock in. They need him to lock in.
Obviously.
Yeah.
I mean, I'm someone who loves both of these teams. I've made it very clear on here that I like the Knicks, but I'm worried about them for sure.
I am too.
At least until Mitchell Robinson comes back.
But
he's
still,
supposed to be back around Christmas. But yeah, I mean,
even then, to bring in what they did here with Mikal and Karl Anthony Towns and go this route, like they gave up a lot of their depth. They gave up RJ Barrett. They gave up Emmanuel Quickly.
Yeah.
Even like a
It's just
Bojan Bogdanovic was
It's a
decent
very
depth
different
for them as
looking
well.
team.
Yeah.
It's a very
Love that
different
guy.
looking team.
Yeah, it's definitely a very looking team. And when you look at the stats on the season, their starters are playing fantastic. Brunson's doing his thing. He's been shooting great. Cat, I feel like he hadn't been off to that great of a start this season, but because of that crazy game in Miami, he's averaging 21 and 12 on the season. Mikhail's, we were worried about his jump shot so far. The shot has been going in, and it's been looking nice so far this year.
Yeah,
OG's been decent.
It, didn't he?
Yeah, I think he might have changed it back.
Yeah, he changed it back because he's like jumping now, and
yeah,
I think it's like a hybrid right now, and I like it. Like
it works, and it's going in. He should keep shooting it like that. And then OG and Josh Hart are doing the things that they normally do on that end of the floor. But you look at the Knicks in contrast to a team like the Cavs we talked about with the minutes, how they don't have anyone playing over 30. Karl Anthony Towns in the starting lineup is averaging the least amount of minutes at 31.1. Brunson's at 33.5. OG's at 36. Hart's at 36. Mikhail's at 37. You're just burning your guys through these minutes this early into the season because of the lack of depth. And it's something that they're going to have to figure out through the season. Now, it came out yesterday. Shams announced that they're signing sharpshooter Matt Ryan, Cavs Summer League legend Matt Ryan, to a deal. And that'll provide them some more three-point shooting off the bench because that's something that this team has lacked, especially off the bench the few nights when Deuce McBride hasn't had it going, because he's been pretty locked in this season. The 0 for 9 thing, I think, was just a reverse back to the mean there or whatever there. But, so far, yeah.
No, go ahead.
No, I mean, the Knicks, they've been playing okay so far here. But, I mean, the Rockets, they're looking good. Rockets above 500 here. Playing well on a good bounce back to that crazy overtime loss to Golden State over the weekend. It was definitely a big win that they needed to get.
For sure.
Let's see. Moving on next year. Let's see. Let's go to the Charlotte Hornets and the Minnesota Timberwolves. And this was just one where the Timberwolves just dominated this game. Let's see if I could pull it up here.
Back to their normal form.
Naz Reid
balling 25 points, 9 rebounds off the bench, hitting 5 threes. Just a solid victory for the Timberwolves. Nothing crazy in this one.
That's for sure.
What's up?
Hornets need Mark Williams back. That's for sure.
Yeah, no question about it. In this game, they had to. They started Taj Gibson in this game at the 5. My goodness, a flash to the past.
I'd rather watch a sequel play.
That's crazy.
No one showed up anyways for Charlotte today.
No, nobody did.
No one really did as well. This was just a great defensive performance by the Timberwolves, holding the Hornets to 40% from the field, 24% from 3. And the Timberwolves finally played in a blowout game. So Rob Dillingham finally got to play, and he got his first NBA points in this one. So shout out to Rob Dillingham. Hadn't played a game yet, hadn't played a second because of all the close ones that the Timberwolves have played.
Quick thing with the Wolves, their arbitration for the ownership of their team began today between Rob Laurie and then A-Rod's group.
Ooh.
I think that's accurate. I might have misspoke with the names.
So the whole Timberwolves team's going to be on roids in a couple weeks. So.
It's very interesting because it's really interesting. I don't know if you guys are familiar with what's going on, but like A-Rod and a group is trying to buy the team, but they kind of they made the agreement back in 2021, but they didn't have the money then. And now
I do remember that.
The team is obviously worth much more, and the original owners no longer want to sell, and so they're going to court to see who has the rights to the team, pretty much.
Wow.
It's definitely a crazy situation.
That is some crazy stuff. Hey.
We'll see what happens.
Yeah.
Hopefully it doesn't affect what's going on the court.
Yeah, that's something that definitely could affect it. But so far, Wolves looking decent. Coming off of, they had a great, the great victory on Friday against Denver. That was crazy. We'll get to Denver in a little bit here.
You think Anthony Edwards cares about who owns the team? He just cares about who.
No. No. I do want to say here, because Anthony Edwards, he made a bit of a shout out to me on Friday about talking it to people about a reporter asked him, what do you say to people who think that you shoot too many threes? And he said, F them. And I had since after the first couple games, I had changed my stance, and I still am on it. 12, 13 threes, that's still a lot to me, but heck, if he's going to make 5 of the 12 a game and shoot 40+% from 3, take 50 of them if you're going to make 40% from 3. Yeah, I mean, he's playing fantastic basketball. So shout out to Ant Edwards.
I think he only had 11 tonight.
Yeah, it took
another 21. Ant had 21.
No, 11
what are you saying?
Threes?
That's still a lot.
Yeah, it's still another crazy amount there. All right, next game, let's go to the OKC Thunder defeating the Orlando Magic 102-86. Now, of course, Orlando has been without Paolo Banchero. This is their third game without him, their third straight double-digit loss there where they failed to hit 100 points, I believe. I don't think they've been able to – or no, I think they hit 100 points maybe in the Cavs game, but have struggled to have it going offensively. And, of course, they're going up against – the OKC's defense. They are now the second remaining undefeated team, the only one in the Western Conference there, continuing to really shine on the defensive end of the floor. I mean, so far through these first 7 games, I know the opponents they've faced haven't been that great, but they have the best defense in NBA history when looking at the numbers of it so far. It's been fantastic.
Yeah, Thunder are killing it. For me, with the Magic, it's kind of concerning they look so bad without Paolo. Now, they've played 3 tough teams in this since he got hurt, and hopefully, they can kind of like the Bucks pick up some easy wins here coming up with some easier teams. But they've given up 3 straight 30-point first quarters in the 3 games that they've lost, and that is not good. You're getting off on the wrong foot just from the get-go, and when you don't have a guy who's capable of dropping 50 like Paolo is, he's out of the lineup. That's a lot of scoring that you're missing. So you really got to put some emphasis on the other end of the court because you're only putting up 86 points a night. Obviously, Thunder have the best defense in the league, like you just said, but got to compete on the other end without Paolo.
Yeah, it's definitely concerning because Paolo is out for an extended time. It's not like he's out for a week or 2. He's out for 2 months. So if they need to pick some of these easy wins because they can go from where we thought they'll be out of the play-in and be a top 4 or 5 seed in the East, and if you're off to this bad of a start and not until Christmas time when you get Paolo back, you got to make up a lot of ground, and that's really tough to do, especially at that time of the season because all the other teams are gelled together by that point.
Mm-hmm.
All the good teams are already perfectly in sync at this point and hey, we're building it. We're coming to the All-Star break. We'll get rested, and then we're going to just keep building and go to the playoffs. They're going to have to gel, rest, and build to get to the playoffs in half the time.
Yeah,
it's very concerning.
And it doesn't help at all either. I mean, this is a Magic team that is obviously competitive because of their defense in itself. They're a very good defensive team. But conversely, on the offensive side, they didn't have a whole lot of weapons offensively. That's why Paolo has been going off to start the year because they rely on him so much. I mean, there's him. There's Franz Wagner, who has been a lot better this season shooting the ball. That's something that we were clowning on him a whole lot for in the offseason. He's been improving, and Jalen Suggs has been scoring a lot more this season, especially since Paolo has been out. But that's still not enough when you only have Franz and Jalen Suggs, who their best additions of themselves scoring are if Franz has 25 to 30 and Suggs gets around 20 to 22 points. Then it's who else are you going to get the offense from? It's kind of hit or miss with them, and that's why it's been so difficult and something that the Magic will have to figure out. And as you mentioned, Nick, these are 3 really good teams. At least the Cavs, they've been amazing to start. OKC, amazing to start. And Dallas just made the finals last year. They've been playing solid basketball as well. They have one more game on this 5-game road trip. They play at Indiana on Wednesday. Then they have
drop that one.
They potentially could. And then they have a 5-game homestand against the Pelicans, the Wizards, the Hornets, the Pacers, and the Sixers. That's where they could potentially start to get some, some rhythm there going. But
pick up a couple wins.
Like you said, Joey, Paolo Banchero being out for 4 to 6 weeks. I mean, how far do you think this could potentially drop them in the Eastern Conference? Do you think that this affects them long term as far as is this going to be like a play-in at best team because of Paolo being out?
If they don't pick up a couple of wins, if they have a 5-game homestand and they don't win any of those games or even only just win one of those games, I wouldn't be. I know it's only been a week and a half at that point, but that means you've got 3 to 5 weeks more of one win. That
for me,
that's brutal. You're going to go into a play-in if you continue to play like that. No matter how. But by the time you get to the playoffs and the play-in tournament and stuff like that, Paolo will be back, obviously, and hopefully he can help you out. I don't think that's going to be an issue, but in terms of standing, you want home field advantage or home court advantage. That's what they were hoping for this year.
Yeah, at the beginning of the year, Orlando being a top 4 seed was a long shot. I mean, they had a chance, but it was probably not probably at the 6th or 7th or 8th best odds to do it. Okay, maybe at least the 6th best odds. And when Paolo went out, I would say that sort of dream went out the window. Just with him missing 4 to 6 weeks, that's not gonna happen. And I would argue that within these first 3 games, from what we've seen so far, I would be potentially scared of them dropping to the play-in. Yeah, missing the 5 or 6 seed as well now.
For sure.
Now, conversely, talking about OKC and continuing their fantastic start here on the defensive side of the ball, they've only had 2 games so far this season where they've given up over 95 points. They've been absolutely ridiculous so far to begin the season. And, of course, we were talking about this in the pre-pod lobby. We'll throw it here on the live podcast with the Thunder and the Cavs still both being undefeated. Who do you guys think will lose a game first, or how long do you guys think that these 2 teams could go before getting a loss? Now, OKC, of course, just beating the Magic. They go to Denver on Wednesday to play the Nuggets once again, who they had played the first game of the season, but the Nuggets still, of course, have Jokic. They've been playing very well. Then they've got a 6-game homestand where they play Houston, Golden State, the Clippers, the Pelicans, then the Suns, and the Mavericks, and that gets them 14 games into the season. And then looking at the Cavs schedule, of course, beating the Bucks again here. Then they play the Pelicans in New Orleans Wednesday, then Golden State, Brooklyn, at Chicago, at Philadelphia, versus Chicago, versus Charlotte through their first 15. Then they play at Boston for the in-season tournament for their 16th game of the season. Or is there a realistic chance that both of these teams could be 13 or 14-0? A couple more weeks into the season? I think that'd be pretty unprecedented, but do you guys think that could happen?
Nope.
Okay.
I think they both lose on Wednesday.
Both lose Wednesday.
Is Zion supposed to play?
Well, we'll get to the Pelicans. They're injured as heck.
I mean, who knows? It'll be interesting. But
I think the fan in me is going to say, man, both these teams are going to start 15-0 until the Cavs play Boston, and 14-0 when the Thunder are done with their homestand. However, they play some tough teams. I would not be shocked if by the time they play Boston and the end of that homestand, there's at least 1 or 2 losses on that record for both teams. I think Suns and Mavericks, especially to close out, those are going to be obviously tough ones. And Embiid may be back for the Cavs again when we play them, right before Boston. That might be a brutal one. It's gonna be real tough. It's gonna be real tough. I'll say that.
Definitely.
You guys want to know what I think's gonna happen?
All right, let's hear it.
So, Oklahoma travels to Cleveland for the first time on January 8th.
Oh gosh.
Game 33. I think they'll both be 33-0 heading into that game.
Oh my!
No!
Lord.
Oh my goodness! Holy moly!
Maybe 32-0 since it's game 33.
32-0.
They're both 32-0.
But no, both of those teams, they've obviously been fantastic. We talked about the Cavs earlier. The Thunder just continuing to play amazingly. Still not fully healthy. We still haven't seen Isaiah Hartenstein with this group. So there's still a lot more that can be unlocked with this team. Definitely scary and great to see them playing, so well here. I'm excited to see how the Thunder play once their competition does get a little bit harder, because so far through these games, like besides the first game in Denver, I'm not expecting any of these teams that they played, besides, of course, the Magic, but they're injured, to really be in the playoffs or the postseason. So once they get to play against some competition, then I'll be even more excited. But great sign of a championship contending team is defeating the teams that you should beat by a lot. And so far, all of their victories have come by double digits. All of them have been by double digits. So they've been killing it, no question about it.
Most complete team in basketball.
Absolutely.
I would say so as well. Moving on to the next game. The Blazers and the Pelicans played in New Orleans, and the Blazers defeated the Pelicans 118-110 in this game. Or actually, I don't even think there was 118-100. So a glitch on the typo on the scoreboard there. Pelicans lose by 18 there at home. And this was one where the Pelicans, on their inactive report, their injury report, we haven't talked a whole lot about the Pelicans' injuries, but it has been unbelievable. DeJounte Murray, of course, goes out on opening night with the broken hand. Trey Murphy hasn't played yet this season, but over the last week, they've lost C.J. McCollum, Jordan Hawkins, who'd been playing through injury, misses this one, Herb Jones, Zion Williamson, all out in this game. Brandon Ingram was in this one. I haven't talked about with the guys, like starting in this game, Brandon Boston, who was not on the team a week ago, started this game, had 20 points in this one. They just picked up Jalen Noel, who was not in the league. Just picked him up, I believe, today, had 11 points. It's just crazy what they're having to deal with so far. But the big thing about this game, which is kind of crazy, the Pelicans were up by 3 points going into the fourth quarter of this game. But then the Blazers checked in Delano Banton, a guy who had a pretty good end of the season last year, putting up numbers after getting traded from Boston. Played his first minutes in the fourth quarter, scored 20 points in the fourth quarter, 8 of 9 from the field, had a couple steals, was a plus 21 because the Blazers outscored the Pelicans 39-18 in the fourth quarter because of Delano Banton, and the Blazers get the victory 118-110.
I know who's going to be the Run on the Paint recap MVP
tonight. Yeah, unbelievable stuff there. Delano Banton, he was a guy that saved me in fantasy last year because he was putting up triple-doubles last year. He was going crazy just because of all the guards that the Blazers just didn't really want to go to it. But because of, just rotations, and Denny Avdi only playing 20 minutes in this game, they go to Banton in the fourth quarter, and he kills it. I mean, a 20-point fourth quarter by Delano Banton. You cannot even
good for him.
Script this. So shout out to him.
Dude just gave himself a contract with that play.
Yes, he did. But next game here, the Indiana Pacers and the Dallas Mavericks. This is one that was close all the way through, but at the end, the Indiana Pacers were able to knock off the Mavericks 134-127, a high-scoring game. Over the last few games, we've kind of been seeing the Pacers get back to, their normal brand of basketball here. And how about that in the last week? It's been a struggle of a season so far, but a couple victories against the NBA finalists from last season, wins against the Celtics and now the Mavericks. So the Pacers playing well. Miles Turner had 30. Tyrese Halliburton looked like his normal self from last year, had a double-double. Siakam played well. Everyone just really played well for the Pacers, and we also had some crazy games here from the Mavericks. This was an offensive-based game here in Dallas.
Absolutely. Two of the best offenses in the league going up against each other, and they combined for over 250 points. So that's pretty –
I think you misspoke.
That's a fun game to be at.
I think you misspoke. It's two of the worst defenses in the league going up against each other.
You got to have a bad defense to have a good offense in today's league.
Not if you're the Cleveland Cavaliers.
Or the Thunder.
Or the Warriors.
Or the Warriors, actually.
Apparently. But no, I mean, the Pacers were able to close this one out. That's something that I've loved from the Pacers so far. When they have been able to close out games, I kind of remember against the Pistons, then against this Mavericks team, and even the Celtics in overtime, it was kind of everyone being involved in the offense down the stretch. This went way better than some other games where they had like 3 or 4 possessions in a row where they turned the ball over. That's not at all what they did in this game. They got stops when they needed it. They were able to survive a ridiculous game from Luka again, 34, 7, and 15 assists. Kyrie with 27. As Nick mentioned in the pre-pod lobby, a Najee Marshall 20-point game with 5 rebounds and 6 assists. We're having some crazy performances here tonight.
Happy election day.
Yeah, we are. And if there's another game going on right now that has another crazy performance, but I want to talk about it because there's a minute 30 left. The Denver Nuggets are trailing the Toronto Raptors by 1 point right now, and Jokic has 28, 14, and 14.
He's doing his thing, man. Yeah, that's the thing. That's the thing. From when we're recording this, we have now talked about all the games that have completed. There are still games going on here. So,
Strother just hit a 2.
Yeah, the Nuggets are about. Yeah, Strother just made a crazy layup here. We're kind of watching it here as we're going here. Nuggets just forced a turnover. Kind of crazy stuff going on here. Future me will go in and react to all these future games going on here. And we are here in the future. Joey is with me. All those games from last night are all finally wrapped up so we can go over them with you. And boy, they're can't wait.
What an end of the night.
I know. It was unbelievable. So let's just get right into it, going right off here. With the Denver Nuggets and Toronto Raptors meeting for the second time already this season, second and final time. And for the second straight game, we had a really close game between these two. And with the Nuggets, once again, narrowly getting the victory, 121-119. Second straight game between these two where a missed three-pointer by R.J. Barrett at the buzzer is how the Nuggets are able to hold on and get the victory. Jokic, another ridiculous stat line, 28, 14, and 13. They got Russell Westbrook having a good game, and that was able to combat the Raptors all-around scoring. But this was unbelievable. I mean, we were just talking about it earlier during the first recording of this, but my goodness, the Nuggets were so close again to another close loss. They found another way to get a victory.
I really thought R.J. Barrett was going to have it at the end of that. That was insane. We were watching it here before we started this, and my goodness, RJ crossed that dude up, dropped him to one knee, and while he was on the ground, the dude reached and fouled RJ Barrett. That was just absolutely nuts. And then the three to almost hit it. Westbrook played phenomenal defense on that last possession too. Switched onto him and locked him down.
Yes, he did.
And RJ still almost made it, but very close win for the Nuggets. Thank goodness you got it, because that would have been a bad loss at home.
Another bad loss. I mean, this is a team we've talked about them. I mean, they have really struggled to really find an identity, and this is just another one. They're so close to losing this one. Aaron Gordon, should mention, only played 4 minutes in this game, had a calf injury, so hopefully that isn't an injury that prolongs for too much time there. But Jokic again having to play 38 minutes, having to put up this incredible of a stat line here to just squeeze out a victory. It's definitely big. Michael Porter played well, had 19 points, 9 rebounds, at least shot a lot, and some of them went in. Christian Brown continues to play well in that starting lineup. He was one of the big questions coming into the season, and he's been pretty well, playing for them.
For sure. Strother, I'm pretty sure, was hitting some clutch buckets as well at the end.
Strother did. Yeah, he was clutch there at the end of this one. And with Aaron Gordon out, Peyton Watson came in, had 16 points in 30 minutes. So huge for them to get that contribution from those guys. It was still a close game, but that was because the Raptors guys in that whole starting 5 all played well. With R.J. Barrett, playing well. This was his first bad shooting game, but he'd been playing very well before that. Jakob Poeltl with 24 and 11. Grady Dick, again, another high-scoring game. He's just, I keep mentioning, he's going to have all the opportunity to have a lot of points up there. And he's figuring out how to play, man. It's been impressive.
He could possibly be on an early watch list for a Most Improved Player award, because we didn't hear much of him last year because of his rookie, and there were so many other crazy rookies last year. that just took the spotlight. But right now, Grady Dick is balling out. If he can be that number 2 man or even the number 1 man, or with Scotty Barton, it's just a dynamic duo with them. And RJ is like a third guy or even a second, third guy. They could just either way, their future holds a lot of potential, even though they're not winning games, which is kind of good, which is kind of what we wanted out of the Raptors a little bit.
Yeah.
This is their young guys are starting to play well. Ochai Agbaji played pretty decent tonight too as well. He had 14 points.
Yeah, across the board, just playing well. Even Davion Mitchell and Emmanuel Quickly's absence, he's been starting and he's been playing very well. But to your point about, Grady Dick, on the season now, he's averaging 21 points a game here in just year 2. Yeah. 47% from the field, 37 from 3. Besides Vic and Wemby, I'm trying to think that this may be the leading year 2 guy in points per game. Unless I'm forgetting any
I was going to say, we got Chet, if you count him still, because Chet, technically, it's
let me see here, 2023.
Year, but I was going to say, Wemby, Chet, Brandon
Miller. He's been injured a bit, so I think Grady Dick may be the second leading scorer, at least from the 2023 draft in year 2, which is certainly interesting. Interesting so far. Definitely unexpected there, but Nuggets, again, I'm sure Nuggets fans just can't be happy with how they've been playing 7 games into the season. But, it's important to also be able to get these victories. We're saying they've had a rough start to the season. They're still 4-3 above 500, which is not the case for some of these other struggling teams. So it's important to be getting the wins, through this.
I was going to say, can be very problematic the way they're winning games and the way they're playing their games. But we're 8 games, 7 games into the season. It is so early on in the season. Teams are just figuring out how to play together with like the actual regular season NBA pace. Like, they got time. If they're playing like this though, come January, February, and you're at the All-Star break, then that's more of a serious issue. But for right now, I guess you can just take a pass on, hey, at least we're getting some wins.
Without Jamal Murray as well. Russell Westbrook starts in this game. And it's good. We got to see a good Russell Westbrook game. And that's certainly good to see there because, it seems like this season it's either been really good or really bad, which is kind of what you get from Westbrook at this point of his career. But just good to see that he had a good game in this one.
For sure. When he's playing pretty good, it's always fun to watch.
No question about it. Moving on here, another super tight 2-point finish here between the Philadelphia 76ers and the Phoenix Suns. And this was a headline coming in because it was Paul George's first game of the season. Paul George's first game as a 76er. But in the end, Kevin Durant made a game-winning layup with 24 seconds to go, giving the Suns the 118-116 victory. They are now 6-1. Sixers fall to 1-5 on the season now. But you see the numbers there. Kevin Durant led the way here for Phoenix with 35 points, the 14 of 20 shooting. He just played fantastic, hitting all sorts of shots there at the end. Joey, why don't you get us started here with this game?
Suns are looking great. Kevin Durant is insane. The Sixers are in trouble. I know it's Paul George's first game, and he definitely showed a lot of rust today. What was his final stat line?
Final points.
Shot 4 for 14, 1 for 7 from 3 with 15 points, 5 rebounds, 4 assists, 1 steal, 7 turnovers though.
Yeah.
He was making, I was even saying he was looking like a corner sometimes. He was making some good reads on the defensive end, but he's always kind of done that. He's always been a really good, high defensive IQ kind of player, but you could definitely see the rust. But 1-5, it's kind of the same thing we're seeing with the Bucks. It's these two teams we thought are going to be battling for a top 3, top 4 position this year. And if you're starting rough early in the season, like this bad, you got to make up these games sometime. I know it's going to be when Embiid and everyone's healthy, but you're now having a shorter time span, like the Orlando Magic, like the Milwaukee Bucks. When everything's going, you got less time when everybody else is already clicking. Even some of the play-in mid teams in the Eastern Conference that are like staying around 500, they're going to click and figure it out faster than you. And they might steal some wins mid-time in the season. Then you're going to be in real trouble.
Yeah, no question about it.
You need to win these early seasons games.
Yeah, and the Sixers, I mean, they were right in this one. I mean, at the end again, and then Kevin Durant made the layup there, but they did have a lead for a decent part of the fourth quarter there. But of course, Paul George's first game, it is expected. I was interested that he played 31 and a half minutes in this game. First game back, didn't seem like there was any real minute restriction there. Just came right in because I think, like you said, Nick Nurse knows we got to win these games at this point, man. Got to try to win these games. Tyrese Maxey, another great game, 32 points, another high-scoring game. Off the bench, Joey's boy Gershon Yabusele played a lot of the five in this game because Drummond wasn't playing that great against Nurkic, who had a nice bounce back. Yeah, Gershon in 30 minutes, 19.7 boards, 6 assists, 5 of 11 from 3, and even the misses were looking pretty good. They were just going off the rim. All straight on looks there. But at the end of the game, I was curious to hear what you thought about this. So Kevin Durant, he makes the game-winning layup, 24 seconds to go. Sixers don't call a timeout, and they basically just give Paul George an ISO in his first game back. What did you think of that decision, first to not call a timeout, and then for them to do a Paul George isolation instead of going to the hot hand in Maxey?
I am, especially in a game where you're this close, and if you can steal a road win against a top-tier Western Conference team like the Suns, that does huge things for a team that's not even healthy. Like, if this team was, even if they just won this game and had 2 wins, and we could still be saying, hey, it's a rough start, but this was a huge win, and it could pose good momentum for the future. Now we're talking about a team that just lost a close one. I always say you take the timeout. You plan something good. Maxey's been going off. Yabusele's been pretty hot. Run something with them. Pick and roll. Maybe have like a decoy and have Paul George run off somewhere so he could possibly get open or drag some defenders. I know he's going to be the guy until Embiid comes back, like more like consistently than probably Maxey, but I don't know about that in this situation. In my opinion, that's a real bad call. I would have gone with the hot hand in Maxey.
Yeah, I probably would have as well to go to Tyrese Maxey in a huge game here. But either way, I mean, the Suns are a very, very good team. Yeah. So, I mean, there's no shame in losing to the Phoenix Suns at this point of the season with the way they're playing.
No, it's more of just it's going to be hard to make some up some of these games. That's the more issue. It's like you really could have had this win, and it could have been such a big boost than just it's just another really tough loss. Because those do pile up.
No, those pile up for sure. Like I mentioned a while ago at the top of this thing when we were talking about the Cavs getting their early season wins, about how their competition, like the Sixers, Bucks, Magic, Pacers, have all been kind of having slow starts to the season, and that can really add up as the season goes along here. And of course, the Sixers still not. It's impossible to judge them until Embiid comes back, which we just still don't know the timetable on that. But that's where it's kind of worrisome here with the Sixers. Their schedule, they're still on this. This was the first game of a 3-game road trip out west. They go to LA. They play the Clippers on Wednesday night, and Paul George's return to LA. And then they play the Lakers on Friday. Then they come home for a 3-game homestand where they play the Hornets, the Knicks, and the Cavaliers. So, it's kind of an on-off schedule for them, so far. The worry here is that when Embiid eventually does get back and Paul George is fully healthy and back in rhythm, that you're putting too much pressure on these players to where you have to win out. Like last year, they were the 7th seed in the playoffs there because Embiid missed all that time. And when Embiid played, they were fantastic. They were 32-8, I believe. Like they were unbelievable. That's why I think he was 100% going to be the MVP had he have kept playing. He's still an incredible player. I think that's kind of forgotten in all this, how amazing of a player he is.
Yeah.
But coming back, you're asking them to play at that type of pace coming in. That's just, it's going to be tough come playoff time for them to really do much damage because you're asking them to play playoff level basketball in the regular season because they're going to have to win so many games. Like you look at the standings right now, the bottom of the Eastern Conference is the Bucks at 1-6 and the Sixers at 1-5. Those are the two worst teams in the East right now. There's gonna have to be some, ground made up here, going forward, like you said.
100%. And we're already talking, like, Embiid's already hurt, and obviously the investigation is going to be coming up because he obviously came out and said, I'm not playing back-to-back games. And that's an issue because there hasn't been many back-to-back games yet. There's a lot more to come. And if you're sacrificing one of the best players in the NBA, and if you have back-to-backs, 3 back-to-backs in a month or something like that, that's 3 losses in a month right away that you, at the end of the day, you can't afford those if you want any kind of home court advantage in the East. And you need that home court advantage because playing in Madison Square Garden's tough. Playing at TD Garden is tough. We're big Cavs fans, so we know how crazy our crowd can get during a home playoff game. Like, these are not – you need home court advantage. You cannot – we talk about it with the Heat every single year. We hate that they take the regular season light and then they try to turn it on the playoffs, but it doesn't always work. You're asking so much of them. May turn out the same way with the Sixers. Happened last year when they were the 7th seed. Might happen again this year. And the Bucks, they need to do something.
And for the Sixers, it just could be because of injury. Not for any, that's
for sure.
Which is uncontrollable, really. I mean, that's the thing with all that, can be made fun of about Joel Embiid missing all these games. Like, if he's not 100%, he should not play. Because in the end, it hurts their chances. Because when all those guys are healthy, I don't care what seed they are, they could have a shot because they have a great big 3 on paper with Embiid, George, and Maxey. So whatever you got to do to make sure he's recovered and healthy, that's what you got to do.
I was saying the last thing I'll say with the Sixers, the one thing we are finding out, because last year when Embiid was out, they had no backup big men. They didn't have a backup. This year they bring in Drummond and Yabusele.
They've both been good.
They've been great backups. Drummond is obviously a serviceable center, always a really good backup. And Yabusele just coming back over after an incredible Olympics. Obviously, tonight going against Nurkic and a really good Suns team, he was arguably the second best player when they almost won.
Right.
Like, that's a really good sign for the future, though, because when they do start gelling, and if Embiid does need to take that break, you do at least have some good backups.
Yeah, and with Paul George coming back, it will help out their offense for sure. Because right now, Tyrese Maxey is asked to do way much. Like, going into this game, Maxey's averaging 30, taking 26 shots a game. Next highest shots per game is Kelly Oubre at 16. Then no one else is taking double-digit shots. So it's all really focused on Maxey. So having Paul George is definitely going to help them. This is an all-star level player that we are talking about as well, who was injured himself. So he'll be better. The Sixers will be better.
100%.
They'll get some solid victories as well. Excited to see how the Clipper crowd will react to Paul George when he comes back there on Wednesday night.
That's a good transition because the next game we're talking about is the Clippers and Spurs, which also ended in a really close game at the end in the Intuit Dome.
Yeah, Clippers getting their first victory in the Intuit Dome, 113-104 against the Spurs, where the Spurs at the end of the first quarter, the score was 40-14 Spurs. The Spurs had a 40-14 lead in the first quarter. And I was even saying here, like, before we got on to, record the podcast, I was like, dude, then it's a long game. Clippers are going to make a run. They're somehow going to win this. And they did. Clippers win by 9 here. Unbelievable. I mean, how do you lose a 40-14 lead? That basically means, so the Clippers outscored them 99-64 the last 3 quarters.
That is wild to see. I will tell you one thing. Greg Popovich. We're making light of the joke because it came out earlier yesterday that Greg Popovich was out indefinitely with an undisclosed illness. Hopefully he gets better. We don't know what it is. Spurs are a very well-run organization, so you're not going to hear much leaks about it. But he was out today, so they had the interim head coach And we were making light of the joke, like, wow, 40-14. Wow, they play like this when Popovich isn't there. Wow. And then we see what happens. It's
not sustained.
It's not sustainable. They do have a couple other injuries as well. I think Vassell was out as well.
Yeah, Vassell's been out the whole year so far. Sohan only played 12 minutes in this game. He left due to injury. So there were some things that happened in this game. We should mention Victor Wembanyama was 1 block shy of a triple-double in this game. 24 points, 13 boards, 3 assists, 3 steals, 9 blocks. So the jump shot's still not falling through here, but, still played great defensively. But even in the fourth quarter, Joe, you were kind of seeing some things about Wemby kind of being a little bit slow to getting some rebounds and stuff like that. What were your thoughts on how Wemby played late in this game?
Yeah, obviously because we're on the East Coast, I can't always watch a whole lot of Spurs games. And I just got League Pass, so I'll try to keep up with it more, but it's sometimes very hard. But just watching him, he's a little slow, taking a couple plays off. You're winning this game by only a couple points, or you're tied right now, and Amir Coffey is running around you out of bounds, and you're walking to a ball, and he saves the ball, and then they get the ball back, and you can't do that. He's getting out rebounded. He's just moving his arms to get a rebound when then they get an offensive rebound, or a defensive rebound when you could have had an extra shot. And pick and roll, I saw the one instance, pick and roll with Chris Paul. He went on the one side, flipped it real quick, he used it, and then he ran almost right into Chris Paul, and I think they turned it over. Or they didn't get a good shot off of it. Like, their offense doesn't really look that cohesive and good right now. And Wemby, he's got all the talent in the world, but in a close game like that, you can't be taking plays off. That's something he really needs to learn. You got to be locked in, especially at the end of the game. No matter if you're down by 10 or you're down by 30, you got to be locked in, because any kind of momentum can switch the game.
And to your point about the rebounding as well, you pointed this out before we started looking at the stats here. Ivica Zubac had 13 rebounds. 10 of them were on the offensive glass. He's the first player this season to have 10 offensive rebounds in a game. Actually, funny enough, Karl Anthony Towns, we mentioned earlier, had 9 last night, which is the second most. But no, Karl Anthony Zubac with 10 offensive rebounds. But you cannot give up 10 offensive rebounds first to a team. I think but to one player, that's unbelievable.
You're 7-3. I know Zubac's a dog at rebounding. All props to Ivica Zubac. You are a monster. But Wemby, you're 7'3" with like an 8-foot wingspan, dog. You can grab at least a couple more rebounds. But the Spurs, they're right now early in the season, 4th ranked defense in the league, and they're the 3rd youngest team in the league. And now their coach is sidelined indefinitely. It's going to be rough, but I don't know. Maybe you can learn. Maybe the offense will get better. You got props, but I don't like seeing that Wemby thing. But shout out the Clippers, dude. First win in that sick new stadium. About time.
Yeah. Shout out to Norman Powell, who's been great this season so far, and Amir Coffey.
Coffey.
Plus 34 in this game at 21.6 boards, 5 of 6 from 3. I mean, the game really, I wouldn't say we were recording while the game really turned in the second quarter, but in the fourth quarter when it was close, Clippers made their first 5 threes of the fourth quarter, and a few of them by Amir Coffey, and that's really where the Clippers were able to get some momentum going forward. And then Harden with some big plays down the stretch as well.
He had a 4-point play.
Step back mid-range against Champagny. So just a good win for the Clippers. I mean, you were mentioning like the Clippers, they're just a pesky team, man. I was kind of predicting this for the Clippers. They'd be in a lot of close games so far. They have been so far. And we would see if they had the closers to close it out. This game they did. So shout out to the Clippers, man.
For getting a lot of help from some of those guys that we were saying. Norman Powell is going to need to step up, being that third guy behind or second guy behind Harden and Zubac. And then you get Amir Coffey coming in. KPJ, he's shooting a lot, but he was making some passes too. I think what did I see? Kevin Porter Jr. 3 for 10 today, but shooting 10%. But I'm looking at James Harden was 3 for 5 from 3. Norman Powell 5 for 8. Amir Coffey 5 for 6. You're gonna shoot if those guys are shooting, and then when or if Kawhi comes back and that confidence sticks with them, if they're hovering around 500, this could be a scary team. I know I called out before the season that Ty Lue's going to be the first coach fired. If they're going to play like this, I am going to be completely wrong. I know I'm probably going to be already, but like I'll be the first one to say it.
Yeah, it's just been impressive to see how the Clippers have been playing, man. So shout out to the Clippers for playing hard here. I think that's really all we got for all these games here. I guess we'll throw it back to the four of us here, back at the first recording here. So let's go back to past us. Guys. But you guys have anything else here before we get out here? We went through a lot of games, talked about a lot of different teams.
I got a shout out. As Nick pointed out to me earlier, college basketball returned yesterday. So let's go, baby, to us college hoopers that we love.
Where the real basketball gets played.
The real basketball.
Ohio State, by the way, just got the notification. Ohio State took down number 19 Texas for the first game of the season.
Wow.
Let's go 80-72. Horns down.
Wow. That's disrespectful.
My goodness. Well, guys, thank you so much for watching the video. Hope you guys enjoyed this. Leave a like, subscribe for more NBA content. Hope you guys have a great rest of your day, and we will catch you in the next one.
Peace.
Make sure you go vote.